I was in the barber shop today, and it was a young black male coming there. He might have been between that 22 to 24 age group. Very handsome, very, very handsome. The young man says, yeah, I'm having a little problem. It's a lot going on because I'm marrying a white woman, and my family, they're not too happy about it. Barber was just kind of speaking to him, and he said, hey, where'd you meet her? And he said, oh, I met her in college. And he was like, oh, okay, because, back in the day, you had all the girls. What made you decide that she was the one? So he says that, he come from, of course, the hood and had a hard knock life, just with one mom and no dad. And he went to college. It was a college that was mixed, but more so of a white college. And he start, meeting up with white friends. And, they introduced him to another whole world that he didn't know existed. And this man said, I never knew this side of life. My life was always loud and chaotic and always disruptive with my family. He said, it's like if you're in a crowded room and you're surrounded by chaos and just everything is just chaotic and noisy and loud and disruptive, and you take some headphones and you put the headphones on and you can drown everything out, because when you put the headphones on, it's quiet and it's peace. He said, that's what my fiance is to me and her white family. That whiteness, he said, they're my headphones and they are my peace. He said, and then black women in my black side of the family, they are the noise. They are the chaos.
Okay. The J No show, since we barely heard from you, you want to start us off first? Are white women black men's peace nowadays compared to black women?
I think it just depends on their environment. With what she described with that gentleman, his environment was just loud, chaotic, and it didn't seem as though he was around any black women who basically didn't have that, who didn't give him any sense of peace. It seems as though it was just kind of more of the same, basically, unfortunately. I don't think necessarily that white women are black men's peace. I think it's all about your environment. Men, they're going to want peace. They want you to provide them peace. And wherever they happen to find that, it's going to happen. I don't think that it's necessarily specific to white women, but I think it solely depends on their environment. So if they're in an environment where they can be around black women who can offer them peace, then they'll marry a black woman. If they're around a Hispanic woman who can give them peace, Indian, Asian, whatever, whoever gives them peace and allows them to respects them, and they're in their feminine space, their feminine energy, I think that that's who they'll be attracted to.
Okay. Anybody disagree? This is not the first time I've heard men say white women are more pleasant. They don't have attitudes. They're easier to deal with. They're more catering. So I don't know if it's fully the environment, because there's men that they grew up in different environments and say the same thing. They went to PWIs or HBCUs and they've said the same thing. So I don't know if it's fully the environment.
I think it's a certain kind of white women that are that way. I don't believe all white women just straight across the board just don't be having attitudes, because I grew up with a lot of white women that was, raised in hood, and they pretty much are like the same as black women with the attitudes and everything. But I will say I do definitely agree with sis right here. And also, I believe the mother, the grandmother also have like a huge influence on which way they're gonna go. Because if you have the mom that's like, don't you bring no white woman over here. And if the guy is more of a rebellious kind of guy, like, man, I'm gonna do what I want to do and just do it anyway, or if he's like, nah, I'm gonna respect my mom, I love my mom, I don't want to do that, I'm not gonna bring no white woman home. So I think like the mom and the aunts and the family kind of influences them as well. If you have someone that's like, more open to it, then it'll give them that idea like, oh, if they do find someone that they connect with that's not black, then they'll be like, okay, well, let me bring them home. I just feel like, it just depends.
I don't think white women are the same as black women. That's crazy. I just feel like different cultures are different. I went to a white college. I've said this multiple times. I went to a white college.
No, like I live in Southern Louisiana. No, trust me, I live in Southern Louisiana. It kind of, the lines is blended. It gets
Oh, their
bougie.
Southern
culture is
Louisiana
different,
is a
though.
completely different
Southern, thank you. Yeah,
category
it's
of
complete.
white
We
women.
like another country down here. It's like we different out
Yeah.
here. So that's why I
Louisiana's a little
say that. But I know it's certain there's different types of lily people or white people that I shall say. But
So do you think that they fit the bill because of their white? Like you're a good match because you're white, or you have good character and you just so happen to be white? Because if you think about it, the white women pool in America, they're going to be white people that had a better way of living as opposed to black women. Not that it's a, like I'm saying that, it's just true. Like white women are not going to be ghetto like how we are. So is it because they're white, or is it because you're just a good quality woman and you just so happen to be white? Like, are you putting that in the whiteness or in the good character? Like,
what makes a woman ghetto, for example?
Ghetto, well, I don't like the term ghetto. Ratchet, if is the appropriate word. And I'll say what makes
to be
a woman
ratchet
ratchet is not how she dresses, the type of conversation that she has that's rooted in degeneracy, even sometimes the type of music that she listens to, the type of social environments that she likes to be in, how she handles conflict, what is considered entertainment, stuff like that. So when this video was like saying,
Wait, Dylan, isn't that choices though? All the stuff
yeah, that's what I mean.
Are choices that people can make every day. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It sounded like she was saying, well, I'm going to go white because I know white is automatically right. And I'm like, these women aren't quality for you because they're white. They're just good, fitting women, just like we have good black fitting women. But the issue is that we have too many, and there's so many women in our black community spaces that are less than mediocre, or, so it's kind of like the pool shrinks when women don't choose to be the best versions of themselves. But because you have more white women, you'll have more white women that are going to choose to be the best versions of themselves as opposed to black women. So I think that's why they're saying, like, I'm going to go white because I have a better chance of having a quality partner. But I don't think it's because of the whiteness. It's because of who they choose to be and the quality of their character. That's all.
it's the connection. Connection.
I'll go ahead.
Hmm?
I was gonna say, didn't we touch on this last week? Even the one guy who said he only dated white women. He said he doesn't necessarily think that they're better or they're more of X, Y, and Z. He just says that they're more strategic and they're in it for the long term, the long game, whereas black women aren't necessarily not going for anything. And I'll say this, y'all, for the most part, we don't care who you date. They could be black, white, purple, yellow, whatever. The issue that comes into play is, why is it that every time we talk about white women dating black men, there's always something negative said about black women? That's the part that I have an issue about.
Because the black women always have something to say. I think if we didn't focus,
we have something to say because something is negatively always said regarding black women. Like I said, I don't care who you date, but my thing is, don't sit there and pedestalize a white woman.
I ain't gonna say what you said. I guess because people usually ask. I guess that's what I meant to say. A lot of people ask why.
Correct.
How can you discount his experiences? If his experience is, this is what he experienced and this is what he went through, and when he went home and everybody was fighting at the barbecue and it was a bunch of baby mamas and all of that stuff, how can you debate, or how can you discount the fact that that's what he's
Don't
experienced?
say that. But don't give that term to black people specifically as a whole. Say that is my.
No, that's the culture. Listen, you
that don't
happen.
Like that don't happen.
It does happen.
It does happen, but it's not. You always say black people are not a monolith, right? So we can't.
Not, but we speak to the majority, and if you look at it,
so the majority of black people.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah, I don't think
it's no majority of black people are unpleasant and unruly.
Hold on.
What metric of measure are we using, Kamai?
There's no point in arguing this. We could just use real examples. Is it normal? And let's just be real. Is it normal in a black household for there to be an expectation not to bring home a white woman?
Is it normal?
Is it normal, on average, for a black household to expect or to set the expectation for you not to bring home a white woman?
White woman or white person?
I think it will depend.
It
depends on your upbringing.
Even white man.
This
even
is a
white
very,
man, I've
very,
been told.
very
Even a
simple
white
question.
man. Yes.
Can anybody hear me?
Question. It's
Yes,
a
we can hear
very
you.
simple question.
Can I answer
Is
the
it
It's
question?
based on
y'all?
your
Let's
experience.
not remix it.
Wait, let one mic
We can add the context shortly. Is it normal in a black household for the expectation to not bring home a white woman?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Wait, let Freckles go.
Yeah.
Freckles wanted
Anton,
to
you
answer.
act like
Go ahead,
white people
Freckles.
don't say don't bring somebody black home.
Wait, Jess.
This is why it's
Y'all
so
be
difficult to deal with black women, because y'all can't even wait, be patient, answer the question, and then we can start it. I literally said the expectation, and I said, listen, we'll add the context, we'll get into it later. Let's establish answering a question first, and let's go from there. Is it normal? Let me ask one more time, for a household or for a family to expect for a black man not to bring home a white woman?
Yes. That is the normal expectation, right? Because we'll be shocked if you bring in a white woman. We'll be like,
Okay, so hold on. Oh, is it normal?
I think if I'm being honest, like I've seen
Okay,
that.
hold on. We're gonna get there. Oh, you saying it's normal. Dalen, you saying it's normal, correct?
Yeah, it is normalized.
Yes, is it normal? On average.
Normal, not acceptable.
On average, yes.
Nikki, is it normal?
Yes.
Nara, is it normal?
Not in my experience, no.
No, not in your experience.
No, I
Is
don't
this
know. I don't know of that.
okay?
No.
Cool, that's cool. Carmaya, is it normal?
absolutely.
Miss Freckles, is it normal?
On average, yes.
Deja, is it normal?
Yes.
Okay, now we can deep dive into the context to understand the why, or y'all can add the nuance or whatever it is that you want to add into it. But my point that I was establishing is y'all keep acting like, okay, well, we not a monolith, but if the culture and if it's normalized for a person to experience certain things broadly across the spectrum, and we all from different parts of the United States of America, then why are y'all trying to act like this is not something that people deal with on a regular basis?
Is that what is being portrayed by black women? It's a genuine question, Anton. I don't want you to get frustrated for the clarity.
Wait, say that again. What is being portrayed? What did you ask?
These things. Jess said, let's try to act like this is not all black people. What I said to Jess was, we can't discount his experiences. And yes, there are certain things that is normalized within the community. I use this as an example, as a part of his story, because that's a part of what he said that his family's expectation was. And I'm saying that it is normal for these things that he's saying that she said in her story to be communicated and for it to happen within the black culture and community. That's what I said. So we can't always use the excuse and say, well, why? Because Jess said, I just don't like that they always put black women down as a result of saying that their experience with this. You can't discount the experience, and we can't ignore that a lot of the stuff that is being communicated is stuff that we go through all the time. It happens regularly amongst men and amongst women and amongst our families.
Is that what Jess was saying?
But can you just say I like white women? I like being with a white woman.
He asked the context as to why.
But I don't like when people say I like white women because black women X, Y, and Z. Just say you like white women.
Why not? So
okay,
what?
I like going to Chick-fil-A because I like their chicken better. I don't like Popeyes because every time I go to Popeyes is ghetto and they always give me some cold chicken. Is that a bad thing for me to say?
I think you should tell us why you like Chick-fil-A. Tell me why
I don't
you
have
like
to tell you anything. Only thing we got to tell you.
If I'm telling you,
only
this
thing
is
we
what
got
I'm
to
saying,
hold
David.
on,
If I'm telling you,
I hear you.
I like this thing.
Hold on, Carmaya. Why do we have to say it the way that you want us to say it? Why we
It's
can't
not
just
about
say
what we want. Think about that white woman. Think about if you ask her, well, Tyrone, why do you want me? Because LaQuisha was a ghetto bitch. And it's like, no, I mean, why do you like me? Well, because my baby mama. No, Tyrone, why do you want my white behind? Stop telling me what you don't
but
like.
You're not a white woman, so here's the key.
That's what they will say.
No. You're not a white woman, and you're not the ones that they're picking. So my point is, in this particular segment, they're talking about whether or not white women are a black man's piece.
Mm-hmm.
You can't speak from that lens because you're not on that side.
I'm not speaking from the lens. I'm giving perspective because
But,
I'm
okay.
If
How
you're
many
telling
times?
somebody white,
How
why
many
you don't
times
like
are we hearing black women say, "Hey, tell me why you going away from white men and picking black women"?
No, even better,
That's not
Anton.
y'all.
Let's use
That's overall. That's not y'all experience. So why are we answering questions that's not even a question for us within this community?
Anton, let's use Dalen's example. Dalen and Jess's example earlier. They were talking about their experience with a white women in the workplace, right? Mm-hmm. They said that, oh yeah, they've had these negative encounters with them, et cetera, et cetera. Where's the white women saying that, no, you can't say that, Dalen? No, you can't say that, Jess, because that's negative. How come you just can't say you just don't like working in the workplace? It doesn't make any sense. If you're trying to give detail and you're trying to give someone, some kind of, open door into your world, you will give them an example of what you're experiencing. You don't just go out and say, oh, I just don't like white women. They're going to be like, well, why?
All right, hold on. Let me remix this a little bit. How many of y'all, maybe we need to approach this from a different lens. How many of y'all have dated white men that chose y'all, that divested away from their culture and chose y'all?
So that means a man that only dated white women and now he dates another race. So this discount.
Has a white man tried to date me? Yes. Do I date white men?
No. Let me clean this up.
Y'all added
how many of y'all? Because I want this to be very clear. I don't want to talk about men that just tried to fuck y'all. Mm-hmm. How many of y'all had guys that had white men that tried to marry y'all? Okay, so we got.
I wouldn't know if he tried to marry me. I'm just not into that.
Right. We have to if we dated them, because how you got to date them first to get the marriage. And I think you explained a white man that deviated from his normalcy of dating white women and decided to date black women. So this doesn't count for white men who only date black women.
I didn't even put that strict of a criteria. I said, okay, how many of y'all have white men that have tried to marry y'all?
That we've dated.
That's all I said.
Can you define tried to marry y'all? Like, what does that mean? Got down on one knee?
Proposed, that said, hey, I would love to marry you, so on and so forth. That's all I asked. I
guess only one person just missed Kamaya.
I think why the question is hard for us to answer, because I can't speak for every woman on this panel, but I will say a lot of black women want to marry and date black men. So there could have been white men who were interested, and maybe we didn't let it get that far to a proposal. I think that's where there's a lot of silence.
Okay, so how many of y'all I just don't want y'all lying to me. How many of y'all?
We ain't gonna lie.
I'm gonna take y'all word for it. How many of y'all have had white men that has tried to date y'all? Okay, so all right, this is great. So why didn't y'all date them? How come
you said try?
How come y'all didn't give them a shot?
Oh, you said try.
I did.
Black men.
I got it.
No, I did. I dated two white guys, but briefly, because I just realized that it just was not for me. And at a young age, I realized that. Okay. I was married for a long time. So.
Let me ask Miss Freckles. What was you saying?
I said I did when I've dated white men before, but I wanted to prove my family wrong at the time that, I didn't want to be the first black woman in my family to bring home a white boy.
So
I fell into that trap.
Yeah, that's a rebellious act.
Deja, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so can you give me your experience? Did you actually go on a date, or did you?
Yeah.
So what was your experience?
He was a really nice guy. He worked for Homeland Security. He was a nice guy. However, they're just different. White men are just different as far as like how their skin is, their hair is.
Oh my God.
They're just different. And I just like copper color. I just like black men. I'm sorry. No disrespect to the white men, because they're nice. I still treat them kind. I just wouldn't date them.